Hi, this is Mary Susan with Jessamine County Adult Education Skills U, and this is my follow-up video to the practice problems that I left you with in video 2 of algebra word problems. So the first 2 videos in this unit were showing how to do 3 of the 7 kinds of problems that you could see on the GED test, and I left off on the second video with practice problems that were a mixture of those 3 types. And so now we're going to look at the answers to those. So the answers to your problems were 30, 10, 137 and a half, 70, 18, and 81. So I hope that you got all those right, but if you had trouble with any of those or want to see, we're going to work each one of those. So the first problem said Dale started more games this season than any of his fellow 11 pitchers. So that means there were 12 of them altogether. In the 162 games, all of the other pitchers started 12 times. So 11 pitchers started 12 times. How many games was Dale, the starting pitcher, if the mean for the team is 13.5? So mean is the same as average, 13.5. So the way I get the mean or the average is I add up all of the numbers and then divide by the amount of numbers that I added up. So if I had 11 pitchers that all pitched 12 times each, I could have written that 12 times plus the amount Dale pitched, or I could have written that there were 11 pitchers that all pitched 12 times, and I could have multiplied those plus X. So now that we've gotten this far, use the things in blue here to complete writing out the problem. And I do expect that each time that I give you an instruction that you will pause the video and do that and then come back to see us put it together. So if you had, you could have had 12 times 11 plus X, or you could have used this row, either one. But you're going to divide these numbers by 12, since there's going to be a total of 12 pitchers. And you're adding up all the times that they started. So you could also use this and divide it by 12. That would have equaled the 13.5 mean. And if you had multiplied these two together, you would have gotten 132 plus X. So I'm going to move that here. Divided by 12 equals 13.5. So any way that you would have arranged it so that you could have worked it out would have been fine. So now that you have your problem written, use the items in black to complete the operations in the problem. So here, since we're doing the opposite in order to get X by itself, we want to, instead of dividing by 12, if we multiply both sides by 12, that will cancel this 12 on this side, and on the other side, that would equal 162. So then on this side of the problem, we have 132 plus. So if we do the opposite of that and subtract 132, then X would have been 30. Here we have when the sum of 8 and a number is increased by 12, the result is the same as the product of 3 and a number. That's way too much information. So let's take this just a piece at a time. When the sum of 8 and a number, so the sum means add, 8 plus a number is increased, that means add, increased by 12, the result, that's equal, is the same as the product, so that's multiply, 3, and a number. Okay, so let me move this closer together here. So now that I have my problem written out, see if you can use the things across the bottom of the screen to complete the problem down to an answer. So here, if we had 8, x, and 12, and we added those together, we would have 20 plus 8 plus x, and that would equal 3x. So there we go. Then if we needed to get the x's on one side of the equal sign, we could have subtracted x from this side. So if we subtract x from both sides, we'll be left with 2x. And this side will just be 20. And then instead of multiplying by 2, if we divide both sides by 2, and here was a division sign to clue you in that we were going to divide. We divide both sides by 2. 2 will go into 20 10 times. So x will be equal to 10. The concentration of Y liters of degreaser to X liters of soap equals Z grams of cleaner. Well, that's already a mindful. So let's go a little further though, and then we'll make some notes. If Sal has 2,000 liters of degreaser and uses this formula to produce 1,000 liters of cleaner, how many liters of soap are used? So I copied down the equation again here to give me some room to work with. And I'm going to label it with what the instructions were here, that Y is degreaser, X is soap, and Z is cleanser. So there we go. That'll help me a lot. Okay. So now use the items here at the bottom and see if you can arrange a problem to work down for an answer. So the second step we want to do is we want to use the equation and put in the amounts for Y and Z that were told in the problem. So Y and Z were 2,000 of degreaser, so I've got 2,000 under degreaser, and 100,000 under cleanser. Okay, so now if I work this part, 22.5, I would have 45,000, and then if we subtract 45,000 from both sides, we would be left with 5,500, and that would be equal to the 400x. And then instead of multiplying by 400, if we divided by 400, x would be equal to 137.5. So remember that you can pause the video in between any of the parts of the problem we do, because if you were trying to do it along with me, I went too fast without you pausing. So do pause in between the steps if you want to go on and work the problem on your own. So I've hit the wrong button here, and I'll need to go back. Okay, there's where we completed the problem. Find the value of x when 33, 35, 44, 45, x, and 55 have a mean of 47. So again, if we're finding the mean or average, we're going to add all the numbers. And if you do that, you get 212 plus x. And now use these things at the bottom of the page to complete your problem. 212 plus x divided by the amount of numbers you added, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, would be the total number that we would add in order to get the mean of 47. So now that we have our problem written out, let's start working backwards. Instead of dividing by 6, if we multiply by 6, that would be 282. And then instead of adding 212, if we subtract 212, x will equal 70. Twice a number decreased by 6 is equivalent to the same number increased by 12. So let's write that one out. Twice a number, and if you remember from the video, we said that had to be 2n. Decrease, that means subtract, by 6 is equal to the same number that we don't know, increased by 12. So let me go to this side and make my unknown x so that they'll match, and then I'll move them closer together. See if you can arrange the two items I put at the bottom to complete the problem. So here, if we need to get the numbers on one side of the equal sign and the letters on the other side of the equal sign, we could move the 2x to this side and the 12 to this side. But if we try to subtract 2x from just 1x, we'll end up with a negative. So it would be better for us to subtract the x from on this side from this side. So 2x minus 1 would just leave us with x. And then we'll take the minus 6 and add it to 12 so that we have 18, and x will equal 18. Gretchen needs a mean of 90 to retain her scholarship. She earned a 85, 97, 95, and 92 in 4 of her classes. What will her 5th score need to be to keep her scholarship? So if we're looking for the mean or average, we're going to add all the numbers we have and include x. So I've done that. If we add these numbers and include x, we'll have 369 plus x. So take a minute to do that and then arrange the numbers at the bottom to complete the problem. So once we add these numbers together, we're going to divide by the amount of numbers we added. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 scores. So we want to divide by 5 to equal a mean of 90. And then we're ready to start doing the opposite operation. So instead of dividing by 5, if we multiply by 5, that would cancel this side out, and we would have this amount. And I'm sorry this wasn't in the choices. You didn't really have to rewrite it, but I should have included it here just to be clear. So when we canceled out the 5, we would be left with this. And when we multiplied 90 times 5, we would have had 4 equals 450. So I just want to put an equal sign in at any point there. Okay. So then instead of adding 369, if we subtract 369, then x would equal 81. So I hope you'll join me for my next video on algebra word problems. We're going to be looking at consecutive numbers problems, like I have one written here, or one of these problems where somebody, Jerry is 12 years older than Stan. So if you'd like to see how we work these two problems, please join me for video 4. Thank you.